Welcome, welcome, welcome. How much do you need to make in order to purchase a home in Benbrook, Texas? That is what we're looking at today. That's the equation that we're going to solve for, which is a question about affordability. How much do we need to earn? What's our salary need to be in order to be able to afford a home out in Benbrook, Texas, which happens to be one of my favorite cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It's just got a lot of really cool things. Now, we have a full breakdown on Benbrook itself, so you're going to want to check out the video that we created on it here. It's been I think it was earlier this year, and we made another one the year before. So Benbrook, Texas, how much do we need to make in order to purchase a home out in Benbrook? If you're new to the channel, please really help us out and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button so you can get up-to-date information on everything real estate related here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So here at the DFW Homeowner, not only do we work the DFW area, but the entire state and throughout the country as well, because we have a presence and agent in every single state at this point. Alrighty, so let's get going. The Dallas, what are we? We're Benbrook. We're going with Benbrook. Now, our normal spot when we're looking at affordability and how much we need to earn, the normal spot that we go to immediately to find real estate prices is a website that's free for you to use, which is called Altos Research. Unfortunately, Altos doesn't have Benbrook information, so this is one of the rare times that it doesn't come through for us. So while that's the case, we're gonna go and resort to Zillow. Now, I know we don't necessarily go to Zillow because they don't get a lot of the information right much of the time, and it's just challenging when you're looking at this much data. So we're gonna go ahead and go there anyway, just to get a good baseline of where we need to be. So first, we're gonna see how the real estate prices are, or essentially what the real estate price is. If we're gonna find out or calculate how much we need to earn in order to purchase in a certain city, first we need to know how much real estate is selling for. So Benbrook, right now the average price point is about $323, and this is where the prices have been. So this is a really good graph for you to see of where real estate prices have been here in the past 8 years or so. So you see where prices were, and then where they escalated right in the land of lower interest rates right around here. You saw it absolutely explode with a matter of year, where Benbrook was one of the markets that grew by about 25% in 1 year, which was the year from 2021 over to 2022. Dramatic rise. Then you saw the prices start dipping a little bit or stabilizing, and then now we're here. They're not at the peak, but they're certainly not far off from the peak. So that is where the prices have been. So for our purposes today, we're going to solve for this. We're going to solve for a $323,000 average price point. That is the real estate price that we're trying to shoot for. So again, if we're trying to buy a home in Benbrook, Texas, which a lot of individuals are, you're on average, a home is going to be about $323,000. That's the number that we're going to do our calculation based off of. So we're going to look at property taxes, home insurance rates, interest rates. We're going to look at the your income taxes and a little bit more than that. So the debt to income ratio, in order to have everything that we need to do, everything we need to know to get us a max price on a home that we can afford based off of how much we make. Right, so you're going to see what that looks like here shortly as we navigate through this. Now, before we do that, let's go ahead and go over to my website, jaimeresines.exprealty.com, and let's see the type of real estate that's that you can purchase in Benbrook. Let me make sure I get actual Benbrook, let me get the city, not anything else, not a zip code. So we're going to filter out based off of single families. We're going to hit search. All right. So let me remove myself real quick and zoom in. We're going to spend 30 seconds here just looking at the real estate that's available. Remember, the price that we're ultimately going to solve for is $323. But you're going to see all of the inventory that's available for sale right now in Benbrook. So the lowest price home in the city of Benbrook today is $239,000. And then you have quite a few homes in the 250s. Now you're getting up to the 275s, a little bit beyond that, the 280s. You're in the 280s still. and now you hit the 300. So as of right now, you have about, 18 homes or so, give or take a little bit, homes under $300,000. So again, if Benbrook has been your dream city and the city that you want to absolutely be in, and maybe 300 is not really where you're at, there are some homes available. Now, of course, with the real estate prices that we're looking at, either they're going to be on the smaller side or they're going to be on the side where they might need a little bit of work. But here's the thing, you start seeing a lot of homes that are being reduced in value or reduced in price. Of all the homes that you see down here on the lower side, below $300,000, about 8 of them have reduced prices. So just on this frame alone, you have reduced. So that's what's going on there. So about 320. Let's go and see the other one. Again, we're going to spend a couple of seconds here. We're not going to spend too much time. Now you start seeing more traditional, or when I say traditional, that's not the correct word, more production builder type of homes out here. So you see this is like an 80s home. That was very standard for the screen door effect. You start seeing homes that are in the 2010s. That's when these types of homes started being built. This is 290s home. You start picking up this type of information as you look at these homes more and more. So these are homes that were built 60s and 70s that have been rehabbed. And now you're still not beyond the 400,000. So you're just now breaking into the 400,000. And you start seeing the homes that you can afford there. All right, so again, this is just meant to be a very visual cue. At this point, we're looking at new homes. So in the new home mark, that's really a good indicator of where the prices are at. With the new homes, you're looking at roughly 450 or so is when you start seeing new homes available. That's a really nice house. I like the lot size there. And the entrance. All right, so last one, and then we'll call it good. So really, truly, to find the most inventory, the most new inventory, you're looking at the 500,000. So 550, that would be the budget that you would need to be in order to buy a new home out in Benbrook. All right, and the most expensive home in Benbrook right now is $2.4 million. Beautiful home. All right, so let's X out of there and let's do our work. At this point, again, we are looking to solve for $323,000. That is the price that we're shooting for. That's what we need in order to purchase a home on that. Well, you see that you can actually purchase a home for less than $323,000, but this is the math that we're going to go with. And this is what we're going to solve for, $323,000 out in Benbrook, Texas. All right, so let's start right here. Down payment. How much down payment you're going to put down? Let's start off from dispelling a myth that a lot of individuals have that believe, and I used to believe this myself, so I can't fault you, which is that you need 20% down in order to purchase a home, period. That is not the case. Really, where the 20% confusion came from, or the myth came from, was if you put at least 20% down on your loan, whether that's an FHA or a conventional loan, if you put at least 20% down on the purchase of your home, you avoid what's called mortgage insurance, which is an additional percentage, an additional fee, an additional rate, an additional expense, basically, on top of your interest rate. So it's an additional fee that you're paying based off of not having enough down on the purchase of your property. That's where that came from. So if you put anything below 20%, whether you have an FHA loan or a conventional loan, you're paying mortgage insurance on that. So the bank wants to, really at the end of the day, wants to have an insurance policy that if you foreclose, they're going to have recouped as much money upfront as possible from you. That's where they taxed you with that additional mortgage insurance. That's essentially what it is. Now, again, you don't need 20% down in order for you to purchase a home. That is a myth. That is not a thing. So for our purpose today, we're going to put 5% down. That's what we're going to put for the purchase of the home. So we're going to go 5% times $323,000. That's going to be our down payment. Now, is 5% the minimum down? No. The minimum down payment, if you get a conventional loan, is 3% down. If you get an FHA loan, that is 3.5% down. Those are the minimums depending on the loan that you get. Now, if you have other types of loans out there, you have access to those types of loans, such as if you've been in the military, you're looking at a VA loan, the down payment there is 0%. You don't need a minimum down payment. Now, if your home that you're purchasing is eligible for USDA financing, which the home would be the one that needs to be qualified in that case, under a USDA loan, you can get a home for 0% down. But again, that depends. Ooh, I just got a big shock on my knee. I'm sorry. I went running at a running club today, and I don't do road running because my knees have they're just bad. And I do tread running, so I run on the treads about 3 to 4 miles a day. And today's Sunday. Well, if you're on the live stream, you know it's Sunday, but if you watch the recording, it's Sunday. And I just did 6 miles with the running club in downtown Fort Worth. Ooh, I have not had a shock like that. I don't think I've ever felt that. I might be man down here in a couple of seconds. Sorry about that. That's interesting. Wow, that was like a shock right on my knee. Okay. All right. So let's power through because I'm gonna need to ice this. The property is the one that's gonna need to be qualified for a USDA loan. All right, so let's continue. We're going to put 5% down because a lot of our clients that we work with end up going with 5% down. It's not the minimum. They're putting a little bit more money down so they can drive down the monthly mortgage payment, and that's what they end up doing. So interest rate. So the interest rate is what the bank is going to charge you for a loan. So basically, when you get out a loan, you're going to be the amount that you borrow, let's say $300,000, that's going to be your principal. That's the amount that you borrowed. The interest rate is what they're charging you for that loan. In order for you to have the best possible breakdown and the most accurate breakdown when you're regardless of when you're watching this video, is you're going to want to access this particular calculator, and all you have to do is you're going to go to File, make a copy, and it's yours. So it is linked down below. It is linked down, so go make sure that you get this. This is the exact same one that we're using today. So once you get access to it, just go to File and then make a copy, and you're on your way. So that's one thing I absolutely encourage every single viewer right now to go and do. And once you do that, go ahead and comment calculator down below. It's going to help and feed the algorithm so this gets out to more people that need to have this type of information at their disposal. Now, the second thing that I want you to do is regardless of when you're watching this video, get a real-time estimate of what the interest rate is at this point in time. So in order for that to happen is we're going to put mortgage interest rates today. We're going to go straight to Google, and we're going to search for what's happening in the rate department right now. So as you can see here, in the past several months, it's kind of been doing a downward trajectory, which is a really good thing to see. And here, as of this week, it's been announced that there's going to be an additional lower. There's going to be rates are going to go a little bit lower, which is always welcome. All right, so let's do this. We are just going to leave the loan amount the way that it is. It's fine. It's not going to affect it too much, and we're going to put 5% down, and we're going to say that we are average credit score of 720. That's not too high. That's not too low. That's just in the middle. That's about right. So the 30-year fixed rate is about 7.367. So we're going to put 7. Actually, it was the exact same rate as when we did our last live stream. So we're going to be good there. Right now, the 30-year is this. So that's awesome. Now check this out. Let's say if we had pristine credit score and like absolutely killer credit score, and we go up to the 800s, you see that almost touches a 6s. Right? But if we go the other way around and we're in the lower end, then we're looking at 8+. So you see the swing, how radically different that can affect your monthly mortgage payment. So if there's anything that I encourage, let me rephrase that. The one thing that I encourage folks that are considering buying, maybe not this month or even in the next 6 months, that's okay. You don't have to go out and see homes every single day, every single month. What I do encourage you is to really start looking at your credit score and see what strategies can we deploy today for when we are ready in 6 months, when we are ready in 12 months, when we are ready in 24 months. You have a credit score that allows you to get into these types of loans. I've had family members that have gone through bankruptcies, unfortunately, so they've worked extremely hard and improved their credit score to where they're way higher than mine now. They're family. I won't say exactly who it is, but a family member is very close. She sent me a screenshot the other day, and her credit score is like 820, and she went through a bankruptcy several years ago. right? So it's possible. It's just having some awareness, and then, having a little bit of discipline here and there, and just being very focused on what you're trying to achieve. So kudos for her, and also for you if you find yourself going through that right now. All right, so how long is the mortgage? We're gonna go with 30 years. That's what that's where most loans end up being, but you can do less. You can do 15 years, you can do 20 years, and you could also do more at this point. You could do 40 years, but I wouldn't suggest the 40 years one at the moment. I would just say 30 years, keep it at that, make your payments, life is good. Property taxes. Property taxes, we're gonna spend a good amount of time. So this is where you might wanna park for a little bit and really pay close attention, because property taxes, the way that they work here in Texas, is a little bit different. When I say different, they're on the higher end, and you do need to know what you're looking for when it comes to property taxes. So property taxes on average here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you can be in a city where it's roughly in the 1.8%, but you could also find yourself in a city where it's 3%. It's that drastic. And if you factor that in on a year-by-year basis, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars worth of difference in property taxes alone. So property taxes in Texas happens to be the 6th highest property tax rate in the country. That's one. Two, whenever you purchase a home, you're paying property taxes every single year. Now, there's some ways that you can mitigate the property taxes, but we're not talking about mitigating the property taxes to where they go away. We're talking about where you're saving a couple $100, but you're still paying thousands and thousands of dollars in property taxes. And the third thing that I want to share about property taxes here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is that every single city is different. There's not a single city that operates the property taxes in the same way. You may be neighbors to another city where you're thinking, oh, well, the tax rate's probably not that different. In some cases it is. In some cases you might find yourself at a 2% rate, and if you just go across the street, you might find yourself in a 2.5% rate, right? So that's something to be mindful of. Now we're gonna actually go through, and I'm gonna show you exactly where to go and find this property tax rate, because again, it can get a little bit convoluted. So that's why, as opposed to me prepping this and just showing you the end results, which would be cool, would be fine, I'd be doing you a disservice, because property tax rates change all of the time. So I'm going to show you exactly where to go to find this information. So when you are watching this video and where you are getting ready to go, you're going to hit that like button. We're not going to forget that. And then you're also going to go and be able to do this work, not just in Benbrook, but you're also going to be doing this in every other city as well. So let's go and find out that property tax rate. So we're going to go back to our friend Google, and we're going to put property tax rate in Benbrook, Texas. All right, so here's the thing. Let's just say you're going through your budgeting and you know that you're going to be purchasing in Benbrook. That's awesome. So again, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you hit that like button. That's going to really help amplify the reach, and that would help us out so much. I appreciate you. So if you're going out and looking at Benbrook for the first time, and this might be your first home, and I say this from I'm not saying this out of out of touch. This is exactly what happened to me. But for me, my Benbrook was Carrollton. It was my first home. I didn't know anything about property taxes, and I mean nothing about property taxes. So let's go back. Let's just say you're looking at Benbrook, and you know that there's property taxes because you've heard your cousins, you've heard your brothers or sisters, your parents, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, you've heard people say something about property taxes, and you know enough, hey, there's going to be property taxes involved. Let me go and budget this in. So you would just type in property taxes in Benbrook, Texas, and you see, oh, it's 0.56%, so which is what basically 56 cents is. And you're thinking, okay, well, property taxes is 0.56, so all I have to do is multiply that times the $323,000 home that I'm going to purchase. Oh, it's they're high for what I think, but they're not that high. And if you were to stop there, just thinking it's 0.56% instead of what ultimately it's going to be about I'm going to guess Benbrook's going to be anywhere from 2 to 2.5%. You're undershooting and undercutting yourself by 4 times. You're only factoring in 25% of what the actual property tax rate is. And that's really what I want to avoid for you, because again, if this is your first go around, property taxes are up there. I've not met the person that says, hey, you know what? I don't pay enough in property taxes. I have not met that person to say that yet. And I don't think I ever will. Hopefully, because at that point, I don't think I want to be their friend. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dig deeper because there's some things that we need to get out of this. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? I love it. All right. So this one is, I'm going to get every single city again operates different. What is this? How did I? Oh, I've never done that in my life. How did that thing come? Okay. Ooh, I like this. I like this. Here's what we got to do because there's a lot of information on here. So let's start from the very beginning. There's 5 very common property tax rates that we need to factor in. There's some special ones. There's MUD. There's a water district and all that stuff, but not all cities have that, and we're not going to factor that in unless a specific city tells us. But there's 5 property tax rates that we need to look at. The city tax rate, which is what you see right here. This is what actually came up whenever we did the Google search. The county tax rate, which is what you're going to see right here, Tarrant County, that's where Benbrook is. The ISD tax rate, so the school district, so it's Fort Worth Independent School District. Notice that we're still adding. And then what a lot of cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex have is either one or both of the following, and that is the hospital network. So here you have the hospital district tax and the higher education tax. So think of junior colleges, and you have it right here. So I know it's a lot of numbers to add up, but we have to add these up. Now, in this particular case, there is one additional one that we need to add up, and that's the water district. So you have this. So ultimately, what we once thought, if we were to just do a simple over-the-top Google search of, hey, what's the property tax rate in Benbrook? And we thought, hey, it's 0.56%, and that's the number that we go with. Again, if we were to just put that in here and move on with our calculation, we would be wrong. We have to add up this. We have to add up this. In this case, the water district. Not all cities have this, so you're in a good spot. And then the ISD. So we have to add all of these to where, again, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, property taxes are roughly from 1.8% to about 3%. That is your range, depending on the city that you move to. So we don't do public math around here. We stopped doing that a long time ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our calculations on the calculator. So I'm adding up the property tax rate, and I'm adding up the hospital district, and I'm adding up the higher education. So here, JUCO. Now I'm adding up the county, which is Tarrant County. And in this case, it is a special instance. We are adding the water district. And we are adding the ISD. So this is not bad at all. So you have 2.155. So we're looking at our property tax rates being 2. So look and see what I don't remember which video we did. Yes, last. You'd have to look on the channel which live stream we did right before this because I can't remember. But look at the difference from the previous city that we just did. Let me see if I can find it for us. From the previous city that I just did, and this is Sunday again, is the time of this recording. Bosch Springs. We did Bosch Springs on Wednesday. On Wednesday's live stream, we did Bosch Springs, and look at the property tax rate here. Now, Bosch Springs isn't neighboring Benbrook. You're actually almost identically in the like if you were to flip over a map, where Bosch Springs is southeast of Dallas and Benbrook is southwest of Fort Worth. Like if you were to do a little map right there, like a little book. They're basically on the other side of the, almost exactly in the same location, but in reverse. So look at what would happen if you were to buy in Bosch Springs versus Benbrook. So that's why it's so important that we look at this information. and have this and know where to get this information, most importantly. Because again, I could have just searched this ahead of time. I could have gone in here and found it, and then I would report it back, hey, the property tax rates in Benbrook are X, Y, and Z. But know that property tax rates change quite a bit. So that's why we have to go directly to the source in order to find this information. All right, so now that we know our property tax rate, that's going to really impact the amount that we're paying. Let's go over to our insurance rate. Now, the insurance rate is something that we do an estimate on. We basically just put 0.75% times the value of the home, and that gives us our yearly premium. Then we divide it by 12 to get our monthly premium. When you get a loan from the bank is going to say you need to have an insurance policy on this. Now, we're going to give you time to get this insurance set up. If you don't set one up or don't have a provider, we're going to actually put one on there because we're the ones that are taking on a majority of the risk. So this needs to be insured. Insurance rates are going to vary for various reasons. It'll depend on where the home happens to be. If it's in an area that has a lot of hail, that has a lot of storms, that has a lot of liability, well, interest premiums are going to be higher, or insurance premiums are going to be higher. If you have claims on, if you yourself are putting a lot of claims out there on your properties, that's going to affect your premium, as we know. The limits on your home insurance also impact the premium that you're paying. But for all intents and purposes, just leave 0.75%. Don't put point. This is just the way that it's presented. So just put leave 75 here. That's a really good estimate of what your monthly what your monthly home insurance premium is going to be. So you're going to be in a good spot. Mortgage insurance rates. So remember what we talked about when we were talking about the down payment. If we do not put at least 20% down on the purchase of the home, then we are paying mortgage insurance, whether we have an FHA loan or a VA loan. Now, with that being said, you're going to be paying mortgage insurance. Now, if you have a conventional loan, let's just say that this hand is the conventional loan, and you have an FHA loan, here's what happens. Once your conventional loan, after years and years and you're making payments, once you have over 20% ownership of the property, your mortgage insurance goes away, so that eventually you get rid of it. Now, if you have an FHA loan, which the minimum down payment that you would need to get into that loan is 3.5%. Once you get past 20%, guess what happens? Once you own 20% of that property after years and years of payments, guess what happens? Well, nothing. You continue to pay your mortgage insurance rate because your mortgage insurance does not go away. And you're going to see what that amount is going to look like from a dollars and cents perspective in a couple of minutes. All right, yearly HOAs. In Benbrook, you have a reasonable amount of HOAs. And when I say reasonable, that's subjective, of course. Any number above 1 or any number above 0 is going to be deemed as unreasonable for a lot of people. I see the comments. One of the most viral reels, reels as well, but on the YouTube shorts was about HOAs. And the comments that I got on that was just wild, absolutely wild. So you can tell that HOAs are not welcome here or anywhere. We're not going to worry about the income tax rate right now because we're going to be messing with this number quite a bit. Now, what we've just gone and done, for the most part, has identified what the market is doing right now. We've really put some numbers to the current situation. In a year from now, when you're watching this video and hitting that like button, don't forget to hit that like button. In a year from now, when you're watching this video, interest rates are going to look different. Your down payment, your personal situations might look a little bit different. Your property tax rates would probably look a little bit different. Your insurance rates at that point, at the premium that we're getting right now, it wouldn't be unreasonable to put 0.8% here. But anyway, when you're looking at this in the future, you're going to map out to what's happening in the current market. And now we're going to really shift gears and put what's happening with our personal situation. So we're matching what's happening in the market right now. We're matching it to our personal finances, so our personal situation. This is a market situation that we just went through. Now we're looking at our personal situation. So for our purposes today, we're going to say that we make $90,000 and we're going to start there. This is gross income. This is before taxes. Don't worry about that. With this particular calculation here, the gross income is what we're looking at. Now, what we're going to do on the back end through this tool that we have here, the max price calculator, which came courtesy of Win the House You Love by Kyle Seagraves, which is a YouTube channel that Kyle Seagraves started. Win the House You Love. Go and check them out. They're a fantastic resource. They created this tool for us, which allows us to, here within our organization, within our team, we do this type of calculation for all of our clients that we work with. What happens next is we're going to need to put the debt, how much debt we have, whether you have student loans, whether you have child support, whether you have car loans, whether you have credit cards, whatever debt you have, whatever monthly thing that you're paying into, you're going to want to put this in here. So again, this is linked down below. It is in the description right now. So go and download it. Once you download it, make sure that you make a copy. You're going to need to make a copy so you can make the adjustments on your end. So once you make the copy, it's yours. It's not something that we'll ever see back. It's in your personal Google Drive. With that being said, you're going to put the debt. So you just put the whether it's, let's just say this is student loans, this is car payment, this is credit cards, this is personal loan, whatever the case may be, child support, and then you're going to put the minimum monthly payment. Just put the minimum. You don't want to pay how much you don't want to put how much you're actually paying. Some of you are being pretty purposeful with eliminating student loans. Well, don't put how much you're actually paying for student loans. Put the minimum monthly payment, because that's the debt to income ratio that we're trying to get into. So we're putting how much debt we have. That's going to be the debt component. And then the income is something that you know that you're earning per year. Let's continue. Now, Cobar's information. If somebody else is going to be on that note with you, if somebody else is buying the house with you, then you're going to put their exact same information here, how much they're making and how much debt they have, because we're going to combine that and we're going to produce some results. So at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the chat, because now we need to go into the actual reveal. What type of property or how much can we actually afford with a income of $90,000 with a down payment of this, interest rate of that, 30-year loan, and then everything in between. So the most expensive, or the max price calculation, how much you can actually afford, is going to be about $362,000. Now, I start here before we go up here and break this down. I start here because this calculator, the reason it was created was so you saw different types of financial scenarios. Now, note, while you might be able to qualify for a 362, and I say might because for you to get a qualification of this amount, your credit score needs to be elite. We're talking about Michael Phelps level of elite. We're talking about you need to have the Michael Phelps credit score out there, right? We're looking at having a really, really good credit score in order to qualify for this type of loan or this type of purchase. So this would technically, if you make $90,000, technically, yeah, you can purchase a home for $323,000. I'm sorry, you can purchase a home in Benbrook, but and you can purchase up to $362,000. But that would mean you're taking 91% of your net income and you're putting it into your housing expense, your housing cost. Some of us might not feel very comfortable with that. I myself wouldn't feel very comfortable. I would deem that as pretty risky in the sense that I would find myself very challenged to make that every single month. If 61% of my net income is going to housing, that would be very stressful for me. So that's why you get different scenarios. Let's just say you're still making the same scenario that we just input, but if you were to buy a $283,000 home, well, that's what your monthly mortgage payment is going to be. It's 47% of your net income. That's a little bit more of a moderate loan. For our purposes today, what we like to do is we like to put our desired number. Oops. Where do we go? Our desired number. How do I get rid of this? No. I don't know how to get rid of this. And there you go again. Here we go. Our desired number, which is the average price of a home in Benbrook right now. And we like to have that number of 323 in this particular case between a moderate loan and an aggressive loan. We don't go and give you like the most risky type of assessment because most of you are not going to do that. And hopefully you're not doing that. It's a better way of saying it. So we want to give somewhere in the middle to where it's more reasonable, more achievable, more attainable. I don't want to give you false hopes, but I also don't want to say, hey, you should be making $1 million in order for you to qualify for the home that you need. So I don't want to give you unrealistic expectations. That's not going to be very beneficial for you. But for our purposes today, we actually nailed it right on the nose. $90,000 is what we need to make in order to purchase a home in Benbrook, given the current market situation that we have at the moment, for how we like to calculate it. So if we make $90,000, we can purchase a home for $323 because it fits within our criteria. This is our zone right here for moderate to aggressive type of loan. Now, what does that mean? Let me adjust this number. I'm going to manipulate this number slightly to give you a good breakdown of what the monthly mortgage payment would actually look like on a home like this. So if we qualify for that, this part is not too important for you to know, but just I want to break this down so you see what the monthly mortgage payment looks like. What is this? Okay, I'm going to do one more adjustment, and then we're going to call it good. There we go. That is as close as we're going to get. Oh, was that? Yeah, that is as close as we're going to get. So we were shooting for 323. We got 223, 352. This is close enough. Pretend that this is right on the nose. So if we were to purchase a home for $323,000 in Benbrook right now, our down payment is going to be $16,000. This is 5% of that amount. Our estimated closing cost, that's going to go to title, that's going to go to lender costs, that's going to go to inspection, appraisals, and all that fun stuff, it's going to be about $8,000. So if we add these together, the money that we would need to come to the table with to close would be $24,200 roughly. This is what we would need to come to the closing table with. We would either need to wire that money during the day of close, or we would need to have a cashier's check ready to go. $24,000 is what we're looking at that we would need liquid in order to purchase. Now, this would mean that we have a mortgage payment of about $3,000. So a little bit over $3,000. Of that, $2,100 is going to be the principal and interest. Principal is how much you borrowed. Interest is how much you're paying for that loan. Property taxes. This is where we spent a lot of time discussing property taxes. Remember, there's a lot of numbers over here that we need to make sense of in order to understand what property taxes were about. Well, right now the property taxes roughly is going to be $580 per month on a home like this. That is, let me make sure I did that right. Yeah, that is something that you need to factor in. Now, had we made the mistake of only factoring in about a fourth of this, then we would go into this transaction thinking our property taxes per month was $125 as opposed to the true $580 that you're most likely going to see. So that's why we do these calculations. Homeowners insurance, our monthly homeowners premium insurance premium is going to be about $200. Our mortgage insurance, this goes back to not putting 20% down. So remember, we don't need 20% down to purchase a home, but understanding that if we do not put 20% down, we're paying the mortgage insurance, and every single month we're paying about $154. But it's a lot better, at least in my opinion. I'm not forcing you to buy or sell or anything like that, but what I'm saying, at least in my opinion, if we're struggling to get to 20%, like a lot of us would anyway, you can purchase a home by putting far less than 20% down, putting 3.5% down or 5% down, and pay this mortgage insurance along the way. That's more manageable. So as opposed to saying you need an additional, what would that be? An additional $35,000 down so you can get to that 20% down. It's much more manageable to say, well, every single month now you're paying $154 for your mortgage insurance. That's more attainable. And the homeowners insurance association fee, this is actually not part of your loan. We just like to put it here so you can budget for it. But the way that the homeowners association is going to collect is at the beginning of the year. In January, they're going to bill you and you're going to be paying that in one fell swoop. It's not part of your monthly mortgage payment. All right, so one thing I wanted to talk to you about before we sign off was the comparison. So the comparing offers. When you're in the heat of battle, when you're thinking about offering 5% less or thinking about offering 5% more, you're going to run into different scenarios. So as opposed to you having to do everything in your calculator or in an Excel sheet, well, this is an Excel sheet, or a piece of paper, this is done for you. So once you know that you have all the numbers input of current scenario of what's happening right now in your income, you can quickly do some math. Well, if I offer 5% less, what's that going to be? If I offer 5% more, what's that going to be for my monthly mortgage payment? How much more do I need to close and everything in between? So this is something I would encourage you to go and visit. Folks, I appreciate the heck out of you. If you're looking to purchase, if you're looking to sell in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is down below. Now, if you're looking for in the entire state of Texas, we have agents all across the state, whether that's San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Lubbock, El Paso. We're everywhere. And if you're looking for the other states, we're in all states at this point. So feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is down below. This is how much you would need to make in order to purchase a home in Benbrook. Stay tuned for our next live stream, which is going to happen on Wednesday. We're going to break down another state in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex so you have the appropriate information in your hands to make financial decisions that make sense. All right, well, outside of that, hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.